Fight!
Oh.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Trace. I want to welcome you to my channel. If you're returning, I want to welcome you back. If it's your first time, please hit the subscribe button. Even if you're returning and forgot, hit the subscribe button and hit the alert button so you know when I'm loading up. And today's topic is painting skin on TRACEDIGITALS. So the first thing I want to say is today I'm going to be talking about two ways of going about painting the skin, and this is just for the base layer. There's two ways to go about it, and I'll go slightly over two of them, and then I'll work the rest of the video over in my main way of doing my skin painting. And I'm doing this because of a viewer that asked for the video. I'm not a big tutorial guy, but I don't mind doing it when I can. If you guys like this tutorial, please let me know. I'll do more. If you don't, I'll do less. I'll do more speed paint videos. And then also right now I'm working on some animation, so I may end up loading some stuff up too. So, you know, there's a lot of things we can look out for, but let's get into the tutorial. Okay, this image right here that I'm using was inspired by like 3 photos. I found some photos on Pinterest and some other stuff like through Google Images, and I just put this stuff together, the girl and the clothes and everything. Alright, let's go ahead and remove this TRACEDIGITALS thing and let's get to work. First thing I want to do is change the tone of the background. I want to change it to a darker tone so it's a little bit easier to see my highlights and my colors, and it feels like I'm working on like a gray canvas. We try to go for a neutral color, but I'm new. I don't know what neutral means. So I know it's just like not too light, not too dark, so I'll just deal with that. So there are two ways that you can go about coloring your drawing. One is the comic book style, which is using a lasso tool, which is what I usually use, and then the other is the paintbrush style, which is usually used with concept artists, which those are amazing. But you know, I usually use the lasso tool style. That's what I end up learning with in the beginning, because I learned from a comic book colorist. And that's what I just been, you know, I'm used to. I've been doing that the longest. But we're gonna start off with the painter style, the paintbrush style. So I'm gonna come over here, get my color. I already decided that I wanted to just to be a certain color. Well, generally. And what I'm gonna do is end up using a soft brush, which is a default brush in Photoshop, so everybody will have that, and you don't have to worry about downloading a bunch of brushes. I've done it. It's annoying as heck, and let's just go with the regular brush so you can get the job done. So I'll take the brush, soft brush, get my layer together, and I'll name the layer. We want to stay organized, everybody. Please stay organized. Don't do like I do. So we're gonna name the layer, get that together, and then we'll just start painting. We'll just paint that all over the body part. So we're gonna get all of the head. Also, you want to get the scalp too, because when you're putting the hair on top of it, you want your scalp to look like a real person's scalp, which is usually the color of what your skin is, but lighter. So you can lighten it up later, but you just want when the light is supposed to shine through, if you want to do that. If you want it to have that effect where the light is shining through, you can still see that the scalp is the same color as the skin, or very similar. So give it a kind of realistic look if that's what you're looking for. And I don't really do realistic drawings, but you know, I'm just giving that advice. I just go and I just try to work for the 3D image look. Now this style can be really messy, and then you'll have to erase back the edges. But you know, some people like working that way, and you can work your values back and forth. And values mean your darks and your lights, and make them push up against each other until it's just like you got them in the shape that you want it to be. And if you haven't used the soft brush before, if you go over it one time, you'll get a light color, like a very soft color. But if you go over it the second time, it'll darken it up a little bit. And that's what I end up doing on this. So basically what I'm going to do is choose 3 colors to go with for base colors. I'm going to go with the white for the shoulder straps, and probably a pink for the shirt. Yeah, it was a pink, like it similar to the color that was in the background in the beginning. And then we got our 3 colors. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm going to go just speed it up a little bit. We can get back to work. Okay, so now we got the base colors, and this is what it's all about. We're trying to get the flats down first. You want to get your flats to that color, set them up. And then after you have them set up, go ahead and set yourself up a palette. So just go over to the eyedrop tool, pick your color or the color picker, pick your color, and take that same soft brush and just put a palette on a separate layer together of all 3 of the colors that you started with. And then after you get those colors with that color picker, go back to those colors. And what I want you to do is just go up a little bit, which is making it lighter, and then go over to the left a little bit, which is desaturating the color. And that will be your highlight for the tones of the skin. Whichever skin you pick, whichever color you pick for your skin, you just want to go up and to the left just a little bit. And then you're going to come back to your base color and do the opposite with the darks. You go down a little bit and then to the right to saturate it a little bit. And then you'll have your shadows. Those will be your shadows. And the reason I use colors, because similar colors to the base color, is because when you use black and white, it tends to wash out the image. And I learned that the hard way over a period of time, even though people were telling me. Still, I just was like, I was doing the best I can with what I got. But that's why I'm using colors now. I'm starting to get used to the colors. So that's what you usually want to do. And if I was you, I would do it actually for the shirt too, the pink color, because then you can use your shadows and show the shape and form of the body also with that dark in the light. So we'll go from there. All right, now we're gonna start applying the highlights to the face. We're gonna use our highlight color. Gonna come over here and start with the cheek. And the way, you see I have a line on the sketch, and the line is there to show me the separation between the high points of the cheek and then the side and lower parts of the cheek. And the reason I put that there is because I wanted to remind me of the different planes of the face. And I think it's like 5 or 6 planes of the face. You got the high cheek, and you got the mid cheek, and then you got the lower cheek by the jawbone. So that's 3, and then you got the eye socket. That's 4, and then you also got like the forehead. I think that's about right. But if you look up a video, it's a tutorial out there that shows the planes of the face, and it can be simplified or it can be very complex. But I try to break it down into about 5 or 6 planes, and then I work with that. So I usually would drop the highlights on the high cheek first, and then I go and drop some highlights on the bottom of the right there on the jawbone. And this all depends. Remember, it all depends on the light source. Your light source determines where these things go, but you want to remember or have just a roundabout memory of where these planes are. So as you see, I hit the forehead, the high cheek, the jaw, I hit the ear, just the rim of the ear, just where I think what light would hit at, collarbones, and right above the eyes, and I highlight the nose in the middle. And the reason I'm doing that is just because of the source of the light. I wouldn't even think about it too much right now, but I already know where the source of my light is going to come from. Okay, now here is my #1 cheat move. I think that the most of the videos I've seen everybody else do is they paint it, and they paint it well. And what I do is something completely different. I lay that base down using that soft brush. As you see, it looks blotchy. It looks like, they might have a rash or something. But what I do is I go and use a Gaussian blur, and I blur my highlights, I blur my shadows to smoothen them out. So in order to do that, you go to image up top, and then you can go to, I'm sorry, it's not image. You go to filters, blur, then Gaussian blur. And then what you do is you just adjust the amount of Gaussian blur it's going to have. And then whatever looks best for you, and that's what you use. I go back and forth. I don't have a strict setting. I just go back and forth until I feel like it looks good. And don't hesitate to use it and then blotch. Use it again and blotch. Don't hesitate to do that, because you can always go back over it and then redefine that surface. And if you feel like, oh, I just did it too much, start over. It's not a problem. You're just blotching it anyway. You want to think about it as in blocks. You're just blocking it in, and then I blur it. Then you just blur it. And once you blur it, it smooths it out, and it doesn't look like some random strokes or something like that. It looks like it was purpose behind each little flow. So yes, this is how I do my thing, and I'm gonna do the same thing with the shadows. We want to kind of find that section between where the eyes meet the eyebrows, the eye socket meets the eyebrows, and kind of show that definition. And so yeah, we just kind of find that plane and give it that a real like sunken in a little bit look. But let me draw the light source so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, now that I got the light source up, you can see actually the angle that I'm trying to go for. It's not going to be perfect, but you can kind of go back and give yourself a reference when you go about drawing your light source like that, which only takes a few seconds. And as I go ahead and keep brushing these shadows in, you'll see it start to take form. And then the same process over again is we using the guise and blur. If you have a if you forgot how to do it, just go up to filter, blur, guise and blur, and then choose your setting. Okay, now we're gonna move on to the second way of doing things, and the reason that I don't use the brush version is because it can be really messy, and you end up doing a whole lot of erasing. And I'm not a concept artist, and I haven't learned the ways of the concept artist, which is amazing. But I like cleaner, very clean art at this point in time, so I usually use the lasso tool. Let's go ahead and get into the second style to lay the flat. We can get rid of the layers of these highlights and shadows that we already use. We can just turn them off. We're gonna keep using them because we can use them with the same with doing the second style. All right, so we're gonna grab the lasso tool here, and you see what the lasso tool is right above the quick select tool, and you want to go up to that, and then make sure you go up to where the settings is, right under file and edit, and hit the second setting, which is two boxes together, and that is the plus. The one next to that on the right is the minus, which will basically deselect things. The one with the plus will add on to your selection. So you want to go ahead and make your first selection, and you just want to follow the lines around the head. And what you're doing is basically selecting where you want to drop your color at. So you see what I'm doing? Just lassoing it around, following the lines, following where the skin is. I'm not selecting where the other, like the clothing is, but I'm just selecting where the skin is. And then I just do the whole skin first, because it's going to make the rest of the drawing that much more easier. Now, when you're using this lasso tool, make sure you uncheck the anti-alias box. The anti-alias box is at the top, right under filter. It may look like two triangles, two like 90-degree triangles laying on the side, and on the older version it's just a checkbox and it says anti-alias next to it. But uncheck it, because you don't want a soft edge when you do these selections and you drop your color, and you want hard, rigid edges. And the reason is you want the selection to go all the way to the edge of your selection. If you do it with the anti-alias on, it won't go all the way. It'll be soft. And then when you throw your shadows on, or you do selections, you won't have clean selections, and those shadows won't be clean also. The other benefit of using this style is it can be a little time consuming in the beginning, but at the end there's no need to erase the edges and try to get them nice and tight and clean. Now today is just about how I color my skins. Later on, after I get it down, still trying to get it down, I'm going to talk about coloring the line. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. I don't want to teach you guys or try to say this is a way to do it without me being 100% comfortable with what I'm putting out there to you. Okay, now that you've done the full selection of your skin, you can do a right click with the lasso tool on your selection and do a color fill. Now you can do a color fill by having your skin tone already selected, and your colors that you're using, or you can just go and grab the paint bucket, drop your color in. And that's what the palette is for. You can always go back to your palette and choose your color that you want to drop in. So after you drop that in, you're looking good now. Nice and clean. You don't have to worry about erasing any. Like I said, this way can be time consuming in the beginning, but you won't have, it will save a whole lot of time in the end. And also once you lay that one big layer of the skin down, everything else is going to be so much easier because you can just use the selection to get rid of any excess. So now that we got the skin taken care of, we can go and do the clothes. We're going to go ahead and get the shoulder straps, which is going to be the white color that we got selected, and make it a little bit whiter. And then I'm just going to make sure I don't go over the edges or don't go onto the shirt. And I don't care about going over the skin. I'll make my lasso tool selection over that. And then I'll just go and grab my paint bucket, grab the color I want, drop it into that selection, and then we're gonna do something that is something that saves a lot of time for me. So what I'll do is I'll go over to the layer of the skin that I just did. Please, guys, please organize, label your layers. So I'll go over to the skin layer, and I'll put my mouse cursor over the box which the image is in. That empty box that's supposed to be there. I mean, that box that's usually empty that now has your skin color in there and your tone. And I'll hold Control or Command on the Mac. Control on the window, Command on the Mac, and then I'll tap it. And what they'll do is select that outline. So it'll select that outline of that layer. And with that done, I'll go up to my new layer, which is the shoulder strap, and I'll just tap on that layer to make sure that it's the one that I'm selected on, that I'm using. Then I'll go down to the mask tool. It's the one that looks like a camera with no flash on the top, so it's just a box with a hole in it. You click that, and then what that will do is automatically it'll block out anything that wasn't selected. And with that done, the selection will go away. And what you want to hit after that is Control on a Windows computer or Command on a Mac. And then while you're hitting that, you're going to go over and tap the I. I is for invert. It will invert the image, the mask. And you make sure you select it on the mask. I didn't tell you to touch anything else. Stay on the mask. And so it's Control or Command and I. And it will invert it. And then what it was going to do is block out anything that has to do with the skin that the white may be on. And there you go. The white that you put on the strap is perfectly inside the skin. So you don't have to worry about trying to make it perfect. It's already done. That's why we made the first big selection as best as possible. And so after that, you'll do the exact same thing with the shirt. You go hit the lasso tool, get your selection together, and then if you go over, it doesn't matter. As long as you make sure it's not outside of the edges. So off of the base, basically off of the body. We just want to keep it inside of the body. Make sure it's inside of those areas. And then if you go over to the skin or go over into the shoulder straps, you can do the same thing and it'll block it out. And you don't have to worry about it. And remember, you come over to the layer that you want to select, which will usually be the skin. And you hit Control and then tap on that box. Tap on the empty box with your color inside of it. That'll select that layer, and that's the shape that you want to block out so that you have perfect edges along each other. And I'm gonna do a specific tutorial on this again later because I feel like I'm not explaining it well enough right now. But this is the best I got right now. And so you go over to the layer that you want to do this on, tap it, make sure it's selected, make sure it's fine, this is the one you're working on, and then you go down to the mask tool. And then it'll just set it up for you automatically, and all you have to do is hit Control or Command I, and it'll automatically block it out. And then after you've done that, come over to the link that's between the two boxes and right click and hit Apply Mask. And if you hit Apply Mask, that box will disappear altogether, and your image will be perfectly set up how you wanted it to. So now that you know how to do the selection, hopefully you know how to do the selection. Now we can bring back the shadows and the highlights that we've already done. And when you bring them back, you probably see that some of them are off of the edge and off of the image. And you can do the same thing that you did with the last one, with the last things we just did. You can go and select your skin, like we just did. Come back up over to the layer, whether it's the shadows or the highlights. Come back up to there and just put the mask on, and then inverse it again, and it will blotch out anything that goes off of the edge. So if you want some time to do that, don't hesitate to pause the video. And yeah, it'll get rid of all of that stuff that's bleeding off of the edge for you. Okay, so now that we've got that done, I am going to do the whites of the eyes and you know, kind of finish out the flats. And I'm using the same method with the lasso tool. And I just want to fill those in, and then we can come back and do the lips. Okay, so now that we're back, we're doing the lips, and you can go two ways with this. You can go color, which is depending on what color you're using, how you want your image to pop, can be a good or a bad thing. But with this one, I end up going with a much more naturalistic look or natural look. So it's like if they use some lipstick that go with their tone a little bit better or something like that, just something light, really light and manageable to show the fullness of the lips. So I'm using the lasso tool, and then I'm going to get the top lip, and it's going to be a little bit darker. I usually select the skin, the base tone, and then just darken it a little bit and desaturate it. And then I'll get the bottom lip, and then I'll just make it the skin. I'll select the skin tone again, and bring it up a little bit closer to the pink, so it's closer to pink. And then I'll just get the bottom lip with that, and I'll just softly do it with the soft brush. Okay, so now that we've got that done, the lips done, what we're going to do is go back over the whole image and reinforce all of the shadows that we did in the first place. So we're going to take another layer, and we're going to take another layer for shadows, and we're just going to take that same darker color and just run it all along the areas that should be shadows. So under the skin, around the jawbone, you know, anywhere, just look at your light source and just run it under there. And what we're doing, we're just reinforcing it. So any shadow that you've laid down already, you want to go to the heart of the shadow and just darken it up a little bit more with this second layer. And the reason we're doing it on the second layer is because if we mess up, we can just delete it, or we can just erase it on just that layer, and it doesn't affect the work that we've already done. And then after that, after we're done doing that, we'll go around, we'll go and do the specular light, which is the real shiny stuff that make things look really nice. It's the fun part, basically. Okay, before I start on the specular lights, I want to do one more base layer of highlights, and this base layer is just going to be on those main on the main areas where the light is shining. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to give a slight tone of the color of the light. So what I'll do is I'll take a new layer, and I'm using white. I'm just using whites because I'm going to use a overlay um, setting for that layer in order to give it some tone so it doesn't wash out the image. So I'm just going to put it over this area, over the face, where I feel like the light will be shining. I'm not going to go too crazy. You got to get the shoulder and stuff like that. And then I'm gonna go and switch it to an overlay layer, and then I'm gonna bring this the opacity down. After I bring the opacity down, I'm gonna go and bring the saturation down also. Now, if you want to bring down the saturation of any color on a layer that you've already painted, and you don't really feel how much saturation is in it, you can do it like this. You can go to image, adjustment layers, and then you can hit hue and saturation. And what you do is take the saturation bar and just bring it down slightly so it's to your liking. A shortcut is to hit Control U if you want to do it like that, if you got shortcuts on yours, or Command U on a Mac. But that's what I basically do here. Okay, so now we can get on to the specular light. And the specular light is basically giving the shape and the roundness of the face. Is giving it that look of a high cheek or a high part of the shoulder where the light will be shining off of, almost giving you a shiny, what I want to say, a shiny piece of metal or a shiny rubber or plastic type feel to it, but it's just giving it that smooth, how the light bounces off your skin and reflects. And I tend to do this. I put a little specular light in the corners of the eyes. I got that from Keenan Lafferty. Um, his channel is KNKL. He taught me a lot of stuff going off his tutorials. I want to give him a shout out if he ever hear this. But yeah, he said I could steal it, so I'm gonna put it out there right now. I stole it and I'm keeping it. But yeah, so I'm just going around and I'm just putting these specular lights, just a very white color. This is on a separate layer too. That way you can just keep it separate. And anytime you're working on something new and you don't want to mess up what you already worked on, work on a new layer and just label them. Just keep them labeled. And if you feel like it's getting out of control, just put them in a group. Put them in group folders and then label those group folders. That way you don't have to look at all of them at the same time. So now that we have the specular lights laid and we lay them just like any other part of this soft brush, and then the only thing is different is we using just a straight up white color. And then we're gonna come over, give it an overlay layer adjustment. So you go to that drop down and just click overlay, and then we're just gonna do the Gaussian blur again and just adjust it until you feel it's best for your what you like, for your liking. And look, it's the same all around when we doing the specular light, and we want to do it even on the lip. And sometimes I put the specular light on the lip, on the top lip, even if it doesn't look practical, because I don't worry too much about a full realistic look, because it makes those lips pop and it gives it that form and that shape. So I tend to do it, but I put the specular light there too. So we're just doing the same thing. And sometimes I may even duplicate the layer and erase some parts. So I erase some parts I don't want that bright, and then I'll keep the rest that I want really bright. So we're just going around and we're just touching up certain spots. Lips are really good, and cheeks, stuff like that. And then we're just gonna do the same thing. We're gonna Gaussian blur. You're gonna filter, blur, Gaussian blur. This is my method. We drop down randomness, Then we go to filter, blur, guise and blur. Done. We're looking good now. If you got a problem with it, bring the opacity down just a little bit. But it works. This is what I do over and over again until I feel it looks good. If it doesn't work the first time, I erase the layer and go back over it. Alright, so now that we got the lips, we're pretty much done. Don't forget to put some shadows over the eyes so that the eyes are not just popping out at you. So you just want to put them right under the eyelashes or the eyelid, right over the eyeball, so it has that feel like it's under something. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. I won't talk about rim light or anything like that. I'm not that good at that yet. So when I do, I'll do something with rim light for you. But that'll be it for today. This is Trace on Trace Digital's channel. Please be sure to subscribe if you like. Hit that alert button, and I'm gonna go ahead and finish up, and we'll go from there. See you next time.